Olive is an ostrich. She lives with her family in the outback. But Olive is very different. Olive's dad loves to run. Olive isn't a fast runner. Olive's mum enjoys laying huge eggs. Olive doesn't like the look of that at all. Olive's little brother pecks at the ground to find tasty roots to eat. Pecking at the ground makes Olive sneeze. But Olive has an incredible imagination. So while the rest of her family are running, pecking and laying eggs, Olive can be found imagining herself going on amazing adventures when she buries her head down, down into the sand. Until she popped up somewhere new. Olive was standing on a steep slope covered in crunchy white snow. It was very cold. She was wearing a thick, puffy coat and a bobble hat.
I'm glad I've got these warm clothes.
Oh, yes, you can say that again,
said a voice. Olive turned to see a little man with a huge bushy beard. He was only wearing a vest and pants. He was shivering quite a lot.
I'm Olive. Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you. I'm Sir Edmund Hillertop, a famous mountaineer. I climb all the tallest mountains.
Oh, so is this a tall mountain?
Tall? Olive, old bean, this is Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the world, and I'm climbing to the summit.
But, Sir Edmund, what's happened to all your clothes? Aren't you cold?
Oh, there was this huge gust of wind. It blew away all my warm clothes, along with my map, compass, and packed lunch. So now I'm rather chilly, hungry, and lost.
Well, I'm not sure how to help. I'm no mountaineer.
Suddenly, there was an enormous growl. Out from behind a rock jumped a huge, furry, man-shaped thing. It was growling, and it didn't sound at all happy to see them.
Oh, that's the infamous Yeti! Run for it before he eats us for his dinner! Wait! He's got my map, compass, and packed lunch! Oi! Give those back!
Oh, I think that's the last we'll see of those. Oh, dear. I think he's still hungry. Maybe he's going to eat us next.
She had to think fast.
Sir Edmund, do you have any food at all?
Well, I do have my emergency cupcake. Always keep one tucked away.
A cupcake? A hungry Yeti? I think I may have an idea.
Olive took the cupcake from Sir Edmund and held it out to the Yeti. The Yeti grabbed the cupcake and gobbled it down. Yum, said the Yeti. He seemed very happy.
Oh, I think he wants your poles too, Edmund,
said Olive. Edmund handed them over. The Yeti used them as needles to knit a long scarf out of his own fur. He gave it to Edmund. Edmund wrapped the scarf around himself.
Well, thanks very much. This Yeti scarf really is very warm.
I think he wants to lead us to the summit of Everest,
said Olive. So Olive and Sir Edmund followed the Yeti all the way to the summit.
We've conquered Everest!
Beamed Sir Edmund.
And you're the first ever ostrich to climb it. Congratulations, Olive.
That's lovely. But how do we get down again?
Suddenly, the Yeti gave Olive and Sir Edmund a push. They went sliding all the way down Mount Everest on their bottoms, and the Yeti slid down behind. Cried Olive as she slid. At the bottom, they ended up in a snowdrift.
Oh, that was fun.
Thanks so much for all your help, Olive.
I think you've got yourself a new mountain climbing best friend forever.
Chuckled Olive. They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again,
said her mum.
Cupcake? Actually, I climbed Mount Everest and met a Yeti.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear,
said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a big room, surrounded by huge skeleton skeletons.
Cake, these are very impressive.
Olive saw a little old man dusting one of the skeletons.
Hello, I'm Olive.
Oh, hello. My name's Pterodactyl. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. What is this amazing place, Terry?
Well, Olive, this is a museum, and these are dinosaur skeletons. Dinosaurs used to roam our planet millions of years ago.
Where? That's a long time.
Oh, yes, and it's my job to keep these spotless. I could really use some help tonight dusting them.
I'd love to help you, Terry.
Thanks, Olive. We have to be very careful, though. They're extremely delicate.
So Olive and Terry got to work dusting the bones. But all of a sudden, Olive spotted a shadow moving. It looked like one of the dinosaur skeletons.
Hey, the skeleton's alive!
Olive turned and ran away, but she wasn't looking where she was going.
Olive, watch out!
Cried Terry. Too late.
Yeah!
Olive ran straight into another skeleton, and all the bones collapsed. Those bones tumbled into the next skeleton, and it fell over too. Then the next, and the next, until every skeleton had tumbled into a huge pile of bones on the floor.
Oops, sorry.
Said Olive.
Olive, what have you done? The museum opens soon and everybody will want to see the dinosaurs.
Sorry, I saw a dinosaur move over there and it scared me.
Standing next to the pile of bones stood a rather sheepish-looking boy wearing a dinosaur mask.
Oh, that's my son, Pterodactyl. What have I told you about creeping up on people wearing that mask? I'm sorry, Olive. No wonder you were scared. I'm sorry, too.
Said Jerry.
That's okay, Jerry.
But how am I ever going to put all these skeletons back together? It's impossible. Would you like to see my dinosaur drawings, Olive? Look, I've done every single skeleton in the museum.
These are really good. Drawings? Piles of bones? I think I may have an idea. Jerry, we can use your pictures to help us rebuild all the skeletons. I'm sure we'll be finished before the museum opens.
Great idea, Olive. Let's do it.
So they got started.
Put that there, Dad.
But it was like a huge puzzle. It really wasn't easy to work out where the bones were meant to go,
Put this one here.
Something's not quite right.
said Olive.
Too late. The museum has just opened. Here comes the first tour group.
And here on your right is the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and as you can see, it had absolutely huge wings.
Oh!
And over here is the Brontosaurus with its two tails.
Ah!
That's enough of the dinosaurs. Let's move on, shall we?
Phew, I think we got away with it, Olive.
I think we've created some brand new dinosaurs, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay, actually, I've been rebuilding dinosaur skeletons.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a long, thin room with lots of windows and seats down either side. She was wearing a rather smart blue dress and hat. There was a lady dressed the same as Olive standing between the rows of seats.
Hello, I'm Olive.
Hello, I'm Daisy. You must be the new flight attendant.
Flight 321 to Paradise Island. Passengers should board in 3, 2, 1.
A tannoy announced. Olive had to jump out of the way as a stampede of passengers rushed to their seats.
Hey, watch out!
The plane took off straight away.
Being a flight attendant is easy.
Said Daisy.
All you have to do is make sure the passengers are happy and they get their dinner on time.
Oh, that does sound pretty easy.
Said Olive. Daisy unbuckled her belt and reached under the seat, pulling out a box of eye masks, which she dumped in Olive's wings.
Right, first task is to pass around these eye masks.
Olive gave an eye mask to each passenger.
Good job, Olive.
Said Daisy. It was almost time for dinner. The smell of the food was wafting out of the kitchen, making the passengers hungry.
Is dinner ready? I'm hungry.
Called a man.
My tummy's rumbling really badly.
Whined a little girl.
What happens if the passengers don't get the dinner?
Asked Olive. Daisy frowned.
They get unhappy, and we don't want unhappy passengers. Right, Olive. Dinner trolleys are ready to go. We just have to push them down the aisle so we can give the passengers their dinner trays.
Olive jumped behind the trolley and pushed hard. The trolley jerked forward for a moment, but then it stopped.
It looks like I'm stuck.
Cried Olive.
The wheels must have jammed. Oh, how are we going to get the dinners to the passengers now?
We're getting very unhappy.
Yes, very unhappy.
Shouted the passengers.
Olive, what are we going to do?
Olive scratched her beak and looked around. At her feet was one of the eye masks. She picked it up and looked down the aisle where she spotted coat hooks above every single seat.
A line of coat hooks, eye masks. I think I may have an idea.
Olive tied together lots and lots of eye masks. She then looped them over the coat hooks and got the passengers to do the same all the way down the plane.
Right, Daisy. We need to tie the dinner trays to the eye masks.
Olive tugged on the eye masks and the dinner trays started travelling along the plane down to the passengers. Then the trays dropped in front of each passenger one by one. The whole plane load of people cheered before they tucked into their dinners.
Good job, Olive.
Said Daisy.
The passengers would have been lost without you.
I don't know about lost, but they certainly would have been hungry.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Quack. Actually, I've been an air hostess in an aeroplane.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive's feet were buried in soft yellow sand. It was very hot and sunny.
Quack. Where am I?
Said Olive. She could see 3 huge triangular-shaped buildings in the distance. Olive was so busy looking at the pyramids, she didn't notice the huge hole in the ground and fell right in. Olive picked herself up. There was someone in the middle of the hole, digging deeper and deeper into the sand.
Hello? Hello?
Called Olive. The digging stopped, and a small mole popped his head up and squinted at Olive.
Hello? Who's there? I cannot see you.
Complained the mole.
Hello, I'm Olive. Nice to meet you.
I'm Horace Molius, archaeologist extraordinaire. Welcome to Egypt.
Egypt? How exciting! But what's an archaeologist?
An archaeologist is a discoverer of old things hidden underground, but today I'm just trying to find my mummy.
Explained Horace.
Oh, I've heard about these ancient Egyptian mummies that have been buried in the sand for thousands of years. I'd love to see one for real. Oh, why are you throwing all of these treasures away?
Olive pointed at a pile of sand containing lots of sparkly gems and jewels.
Oh, what treasure?
Said Horace. Olive held up a crystal, and Horace had a really close look at it.
Oh, you're right.
Said Horace.
I can't see a thing. I've lost my glasses somewhere in the desert.
Olive looked around and had a think.
Shiny crystals. An old whip. I think I may have an idea. There you go, Horace.
Said Olive. She had tied the whip around Horace's head, looping 2 crystals on it to make a pair of glasses.
Oh, I can see! I can see!
Horace cried. He was jumping for joy. But Horace's jumping had loosened the ground. It started to crack beneath their feet. Olive and Horace fell through the ground and disappeared.
Are you okay, Horace?
Asked Olive as she dusted herself down.
Yes, I'm all right.
Exclaimed Olive as she looked around in wonder. The room was full of all sorts of ancient Egyptian treasures.
Oh, back home again. That's a shortcut I've never used before. And I was close to my mummy all along. Mummy!
Cried Horace as he rushed to give his mummy a really big hug.
Welcome home, dear.
Said Horace's mum.
Oh! So you meant you were looking for your actual mummy, Horace. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Molius. I have to say, you look much younger than the mummy I was expecting. I thought we were looking for one of these.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been in Egypt looking for mummies.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was wearing a sparkly purple tutu and white boots with metal blades on the bottom. She was standing on a white floor in a big, chilly room. Olive took a step forward, but slipped on the floor. It was made out of ice. She fell over and landed on her bottom.
Ouch! Oh, this floor's very slippery and very cold.
A very glamorous ice skater glided up to Olive and helped her to her feet.
Oh, thanks for helping me up. My name's Olive.
The ice skater was wearing a sparkly white outfit and a cape made of hundreds of purple ribbons. He was looking rather upset.
Hello, Olive. My name is Sammy Sparkle, and I'm having a dazzling disaster.
Why is that, Sammy?
It's the biggest ice skating competition of the year, Shimmer and Shine, and my partner is nowhere to be seen. Without a partner, I can't enter the competition, and it begins in 1 hour.
Maybe I can help you. But can you show me what to do?
So Sammy took her wing and tried to teach Olive how to ice skate. But Olive slipped, wobbled and flopped all over the place.
Well, I'm not sure ostriches are cut out for ice skating.
Oh, but Olive, how are we ever going to win Shimmer and Shine?
Just then, Olive noticed Sammy's cape.
The ribbons from your cape. I think I may have an idea.
They went backstage to Sammy's dressing room and got to work. Olive plucked the ribbons from his cape and tied them all together.
Oh, what are you doing to my cape?
I've made a long ribbon to tie us together. Now I'll be able to stay on my feet while we dance.
Oh, what a fabulous idea.
Suddenly, a voice boomed out over the loudspeakers.
Will the final 2 competing ice skaters please come to the rink?
Olive quickly wrapped the ribbon around them, tied a knot, and off they went. They glided out onto the ice and began to dance together. Because Olive was tied to Sammy, they both performed an amazing dance, and Olive didn't fall over. It was all going so well until the knot in the long purple ribbon began to loosen and Olive slid away from Sammy.
Oh, no, Olive. What are we going to do now?
Grab onto one end of the ribbon and I'll hold the other. Whatever you do, Sammy, don't let go.
But it was too late. Olive was slipping and sliding all over the place, running on the spot, skating backwards, forwards, here, there, and everywhere. It was a disaster. Sammy tried to pull Olive back towards him, but as he did, she tripped and the ribbon snapped into lots of little ribbons which flew up in the air along with Olive. Screamed Olive with her wings flapping in the air. She flew straight into Sammy Sparkle and they both dramatically dropped to the floor. The crowd stood to their feet and went wild. Sammy Sparkle couldn't believe it.
The crowd loved us, Olive.
Olive and Sammy bowed to the judges as they each held up their scorecards. 10,
Woohoo!
10,
Yay!
10, 10.
Fabulous! A perfect score. We've won, shiver and shine. And it's all down to you, Olive.
Oh, phew! For a moment there, I thought we were skating on thin ice.
They both laughed. And as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I won a skating competition.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a big room wearing a silver hat and a costume.
Egg, this is a sparkly costume, but where am I?
Olive could see lots of interesting objects. There was a table with a top hat, a rabbit and playing cards on it. And next to the table was a tall cabinet with a door in the front. Suddenly, from behind the cabinet, a little man appeared holding a magic wand. He was peering at the cabinet very closely.
Oh, what's wrong with this trick?
Muttered the man.
Excuse me, can I help at all?
Oh, who are you? Did you appear out of thin air?
I'm Olive. I suppose I did.
I'm Hey Presto, Master Magician. Things magically appear out of thin air around here all the time. For example...
Hey Presto reached behind Olive's head and pulled out a red hanky. Attached to a blue hanky. Attached to a yellow hanky. Soon, he had pulled out a huge, long rope of hankies.
Ta-da!
Dick, that was an amazing trick.
Thank you, Olive. Problem is, though, I've been having lots of trouble with this trick. My magic cabinet.
What sort of trouble?
I keep losing my magician's assistants in it. They climb inside, I wave my wand and say Abracadabra. And when the door opens, they've completely disappeared.
Sounds like another amazing trick to me.
But I can't get them to appear again.
Wailed Hey Presto.
Oh, I've already lost 5 assistants this week. You must be the new assistant I ordered, but I don't want to lose you as well.
Where could they all have gone?
Wondered Olive. Then she spotted the long rope of hankies.
A rope of hankies? A magic cabinet? I think I may have an idea. Hey, Presto, could you tie one end of the hanky rope to my wing?
Of course.
OK, I'll get in the cabinet and you make me disappear. The hanky rope will mean that wherever I go, you can pull me back again.
Excellent idea. Just give the rope a tug when you want me to pull you back.
Olive stepped into the cabinet and Hey Presto closed the door. He tapped on the cabinet with his magic wand and said,
Abracadabra!
Suddenly, a trap door opened underneath Olive and she fell straight down a long chute. She finally dropped onto a huge pile of cushions. Olive looked up and saw she was in a little room. Sitting around on chairs were lots of magician's assistants.
Hello there. You must be the missing magician's assistants.
Yes, we are.
Said one.
Some of us have been down here for ages. It's very boring, but at least there's a machine selling fizzy drinks and crisps.
Well, I'm here to rescue you. I need all of you to hold hands in a line and one of you to hold on to my wing.
Once they were all holding hands, Olive called up the chute.
Hey, Presto!
Hey Presto started pulling up the rope, and soon Olive and all the magician's assistants were being hauled up the chute together. Finally, they reached the top. Hey Presto pulled Olive and all the missing assistants out of the cabinet.
Well, now I have more assistants than I know what to do with. Thanks so much, Olive.
That's okay. You'll soon have one less. It's probably time I disappeared anyway.
They all laughed. And as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay. Actually, I've been a disappearing magician's assistant.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in the middle of a large field with white lines painted on it. There was a net across the middle. She was wearing a little white skirt and a sun visor. Close by, 2 very tired-looking giraffes sat on a bench. Olive was about to walk over and talk to the giraffes when all of a sudden a ball went flying past her head. followed by another. And another.
McGurk! Oh, please stop. You're going to hit me.
Sorry, man. I didn't see you there.
Olive saw a curly-haired toad wearing white shorts and holding a racket.
I'm John McIntoad, and I'm trying to train for an important match, but my training partners Virginia and Wade are too tired to play.
Oh, I'm Olive. If Virginia and Wade are too tired, maybe I can help you train.
Well, sure. Do you play tennis?
I don't even know what tennis is.
You cannot be serious. This is a tennis court. This is my tennis racket. Surely everyone knows what tennis is.
I'm afraid not. Will you teach me?
Sure, I guess I could. First you need a racket like mine. It's what you use to hit the ball.
John gave Olive a lovely pink racket from his bag.
Now you go down to that end, and when I hit the tennis ball over the net to you, you try and hit it back, okay?
Olive swung her racket a couple of times to get ready. John threw the ball high above his head and hit it over the net. It was going so fast, Olive couldn't reach it in time. John tried again and again, but each time he hit the ball so hard that Olive couldn't hit it back. Then John smashed the ball really hard. It whizzed over the net and hit Olive right on the wing, making her spin around. Into the net, feathers flying everywhere.
McGurk, I've broken the net.
Exclaimed Olive. John McIntoad ran over and stuck a long strip of sticky plaster on Olive's wing.
Don't worry about the net. I hope I haven't hurt you, Olive.
Oh, no, I'm fine, John. But I'm afraid I haven't given you much tennis practice.
Olive looked around and suddenly thought of something.
Some feathers, a ball, some sticky plasters. I think I may have an idea.
Olive picked up one of the balls and carefully started to stick feathers to the ball with the sticky plasters. Next, she asked Virginia and Wade to hold up the net.
Oh, that's a bit higher than before.
Once the net was in position, John tossed the feather-covered ball above his head and hit it over the net. With the feathers on it, the ball was now going slower and Olive could reach it. She hit the ball back this time to John.
This is what we call a rally,
said John, hitting the ball back to Olive. Olive and John hit the ball back and forth, high and low, fast and slow. They played the tennis rally all afternoon until eventually John hit the ball too low and it landed in the net.
Ugh, I think that's enough practice for one day,
said John, breathing heavily and looking exhausted.
Thanks for the game, although I'm not sure I'm really very good at tennis.
Well, you were amazing at featherball. You've invented a whole new game.
McGurk, have I? Oh, let's hope it doesn't catch on. I don't want to lose any more feathers.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
McGurk, actually, I invented a new game called Featherball.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a dental surgery. On the side counter sat some dentist tools, a bottle of mouthwash and some tooth floss. Olive was wearing a blue nurse's smock.
McGurk, I'm at the dentist.
A large crocodile was sitting in the dentist's chair, looking rather scared.
Are you okay?
Asked Olive. Not really, said the crocodile, shaking her head. From the surgery hopped a little bird, also wearing a blue smock. He grabbed a metal prodder from the counter.
Hello, I'm Olive.
Morning, nurse. I'm Johnny Lee Moeller, dentist.
But I'm not the nurse.
I see the patients here. Smiley Sally, yes?
Said Mr. Moeller.
Toothache, eh? Warned her to clean those teeth. Clean teeth, no toothache, see?
Mumbled Smiley.
I didn't quite catch that.
She says she did clean her teeth, but then she lost her toothbrush.
Oh, dear.
Smiley here doesn't want to open her mouth. Unless I can see her teeth, I can't make the toothache better. Smile, please.
Olive looked over to the counter and spotted the mouthwash.
Smiling? Mouthwash? I think I may have an idea.
Olive took a big sip of the mouthwash and gargled loudly. The funny gargling noise was such a surprise that Smiley didn't just smile, she laughed. Mr. Molar quickly flew up, landed in Smiley's mouth, and began to inspect her teeth.
Well done, Olive. Keep it up.
Laughed Smiley.
Just a bit longer.
Then suddenly there was a gulp. Smiley had laughed so hard, she'd accidentally swallowed Mr. Molar.
Oops.
Quick, Smiley! Open super wide!
Olive grabbed a dentist mirror and used it to peer down Smiley's throat.
Hello up there.
Echoed a voice. It was Mr. Molar.
I'm stuck down here in Smiley's tummy and I can't climb out.
Olive spotted the crocodile tooth floss on the counter. She pulled out a long piece, then lowered it down into Smiley's mouth.
Stay open nice and wide, Smiley.
Okay, got it. Pull me up, please.
At last, Mr. Molar appeared and hopped out of Smiley's mouth.
Are you okay, Mr. Molar?
Never better. One of the hazards of the job. Now, how's that toothache?
Why, it's gone.
Thought so. Found this stuck in your back teeth.
Mr. Molar held up a pink toothbrush.
My toothbrush.
Must have accidentally swallowed it while brushing.
No wonder you had toothache.
Smiley looked worried.
But what if I swallow my toothbrush again?
Olive took some crocodile tooth floss and tied it to the toothbrush.
Now you'll be able to pull it out yourself.
Good idea.
Cried Mr. Molar. And as a reward, he gave everyone a sticker with a picture of a big smile on it.
Best patient for you, Smiley. Best dentist for me. And for Olive.
Best gargler.
They all laughed. And as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been fixing a crocodile smile.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a huge room with large pictures on the walls and big, oddly shaped objects all over the place.
Oh, what a colourful place!
Suddenly, Olive heard a voice.
Where did I put them?
One of the objects began to move. It was a seagull. It wore a beret and was waving around a paintbrush. Olive jumped.
I didn't notice you back there. I'm Olive.
Greetings. I'm Vincent van Gogh, famous artist and sculptor. This is my gallery, and these are my paintings and sculptures. You like them, yes?
Oh, they're fantastic!
Exclaimed Olive.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very talented, it's true. But I just need to paint one more painting on this blank canvas for my big exhibition. Problem is, I can't find my tubes of paint. God!
Then Olive noticed something shining on one of the sculptures.
A telescope? I think I may have an idea.
Olive looked through the telescope for clues, and on the floor she spotted some drips of paint. She followed the trail of paint over to a sculpture of a man having a good old think.
Here's one.
Said Olive, throwing it down to Vincent.
My green paint!
Here's another.
My yellow paint!
Olive continued to follow the trail, finding Vincent's tubes of paint in all sorts of interesting places. She found Vincent's blue paint, his orange paint, and his purple paint. Vincent was very pleased.
Oh, yes, I must have left my paints in my great works of art as I was creating them. Well spotted, Olive. You have the eye of a great artist.
Thanks very much.
But where is my lucky color? Red.
Hey, I think I see it.
Olive had spotted it at the very top of the tallest sculpture in the room.
How are we going to reach that?
Don't worry, Vincent. I'll get it.
Olive jumped up on the sculpture and started to climb. She reached out and just managed to knock the paint down to Vincent.
Well done, Olive.
He exclaimed.
Now I have all my paints.
As Olive cheered, She lost her balance. Olive landed on top of Vincent, who dropped his tubes of paint, which squirted all over Olive as they hit the ground. Cried Olive as she stumbled backwards, covered in paint, and fell onto the blank canvas.
Hark! Oh, no. Are you all right, Olive?
I'm okay, but I think I've ruined your canvas.
But when Olive pulled herself away from the canvas, on it was an amazing multicoloured painting of Olive.
It's spectacular!
Exclaimed Vincent.
It's a masterpiece, the best in my big exhibition.
Hey, I've always wanted to be in a painting.
Giggled Olive. They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I had a painting in an art exhibition.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive saw beautiful plants and flowers everywhere. She was in the jungle. Olive was wearing an explorer's hat and boots. She had a camera and a magnifying glass.
I have everything I need to explore this place.
She was about to set off when she noticed something odd. Some leaves which seemed to float along above the ground. Olive took out her magnifying glass and looked closer at the leaves.
Those leaves aren't floating. Tiny ants are carrying them to their anthill.
Olive photographed the ants and walked off into the trees. First, she passed a splashing waterfall. Olive took a photo with her camera. Next, she passed an enormous blue flower. She took a photo of that too. Finally, she found herself on a cliff top where she took a photo of the spectacular view. Olive thought she'd stop to take a rest. Suddenly, she heard a little voice.
I'm lost. Could you please help me find my way back home?
Olive turned and saw a brightly coloured parrot.
Well, sure. I'd love to help you. I'm Olive.
Well, sure. I'd love to help you. I'm Olive.
Olive was confused.
No, my name's Olive. What's yours?
No, my name's Olive. What's yours?
Wait, why are you repeating everything I say?
Wait, why are you repeating everything I say?
I'm sorry. I should probably be getting on my way.
I'm sorry. I should probably be getting on my way. No, please don't go. I really am lost. My name is Anthony the Ant, and I really want to go home.
I think you're a parrot, not an ant.
I think you're a parrot.
Okay, that's enough.
Said Olive. Olive held her magnifying glass up to the parrot's face, and sitting on top of the parrot's head was a tiny little ant.
You see, I'm using the parrot to talk for me because my voice is so tiny and quiet.
Olive plucked the ant carefully from the parrot's head, and the parrot flew away.
It's good to meet you, Anthony. Maybe I can help you find your way home.
Well, I live in a huge anthill. Have you seen it?
You mean like this one?
Yes, that's my home. Can you take me there, Olive?
Olive wasn't sure she knew which direction to take. But it was then she remembered all the other photos she'd taken while walking all day, and could see she had made footprints as she walked.
A trail of footprints showing where I came from. And lots of photographs. I think I may have an idea.
Olive placed Anthony on her shoulder and began walking back, retracing the footprints she'd left.
If I look through my photos, I can find your anthill, Anthony.
Using the photos, she walked back, past the spectacular view, then past the enormous blue flower, and then past the splashing waterfall. Finally, Olive and Anthony arrived back at the anthill. Loads of ants came out to welcome him home. They were so pleased, they picked Olive up and cheered.
I think I might be getting ants in my pants.
Exclaimed Olive. Olive and the ants all laughed. And as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I helped an ant in the jungle.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear,
said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure.